Hello, everyone. This is Warhawk Beyond 2040, bringing to you some very exciting news from the world of Transformers, where it has been announced and confirmed that we will indeed be getting a brand new Transformers animated movie set to hit theatres on the big screen on July 19th, 2024. Now, this news is a huge deal for me, mainly because I'm a huge Transformers geek and I have been for well over 30 plus years. And also, this will be the first Transformers animated movie that we have had by 2024 in well over 37 years, soon to be 38 years. And the last one that we did have was back in 1986. Now, this is something that I've been wanting to see for a really, really long time. I don't know about all of you, but I'm not a fan of the live action movies. I did like the first one. I thought the first one was very unique and very groundbreaking, but the ones that came after were just a car crash for me. I think they just completely went off the cliff. I did love Bumblebee. I thought the Bumblebee movie was surprisingly very good, but deep down, the G1 geek in me was yearning, pining, and begging for a brand new Transformers animated movie. Anyone who asks me, would you like to see another Transformers live action movie? I would say, no thanks. I want an animated movie because that's where it's at for me. And I probably would speak for a lot of G1 geeks out there. You know, animation is where it's at when it comes to Transformers. And I am super pumped for this. However, aside from the fact that we will be getting a brand new Transformers animated movie, look at the voice cast we've got. We have got Chris Hemsworth, who will be providing the voice of Optimus Prime. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Chris Hemsworth. To me, he will always be Thor. And the idea of Chris Hemsworth providing the voice of such a powerful and iconic character like Optimus Prime, you know, personally, I wouldn't have chosen him. You know, I would have still gone with Peter Cullen because Peter Cullen to me is the definitive voice of Optimus Prime. You know, there's no one else I can imagine providing the voice of the greatest Autobots leader of all time but him. To me, Peter Cullen is the Kevin Conroy of Transformers. You know, he's got such a distinct voice for that character. And even Gary Chalk as well. You know, he done the voice of Optimus Prime back in, you know, the 2000s, you know, in Transformers Armada cartoon. And of course, he will always be to me Optimus Prime from Beast Wars. So Chris Hemsworth is a good choice. Maybe not my choice, but a good choice nonetheless. And I'm very, very interested to see what Chris Hemsworth is going to bring to the table as the voice of Optimus Prime. And I have no doubt he is going to do an amazing job. And also, the voice of Megatron will be provided by Brian Tyree Henry. Now, Brian Tyree Henry is not a guy I know a lot about, but I have no doubt he's going to do a great job. But for me, when I think of the voice of Megatron, I think of one guy, and that's Frank Welker. Frank Welker to me is like what Mark Hamill is for the Joker. He is the definitive voice of Megatron because there's no one else who I can imagine providing the voice of the evil Decepticon leader other than Frank Welker himself. And probably the second closest is maybe David Kaye, who also provided the voice of Megatron back in the Beast Wars series. But for me, Frank Welker will always be the voice of Megatron. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Brian Tyree Henry is going to bring to the table. And the voice of Elita will be provided by none other than Scarlett Johansson. So we're going to be getting a little MCU reunion here with Chris Hemsworth and Scarlett Johansson. So that's going to be a lot of fun to hear them to bounce off of each other once again. And the voice of Bumblebee will be provided by Keegan Michael Key. Again, don't really know a lot about him, but I'm sure he's going to do a fine job. And the two blockbuster announcements and casting for the Transformers animated movie. We will be getting John Hamm, who will be providing the voice of Sentinel Prime. To me, John Hamm is the last guy I expected to be part of something like this. He's always been known as a very serious actor. He's done a lot of different things. So to see him in the Transformers universe, so to speak, is very exciting. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what John Hamm is going to bring to the table. And last but surely not least, Lawrence Fishburne will be providing the voice of Alpha Trion. Now, Lawrence Fishburne is one of the most celebrated, decorated, and respected actors of all time, and he's no stranger to these type of movies. He's been part of the Matrix movies. He's been part of the DCEU, where he played Perry White in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. And he's also appeared in Ant-Man and the Wasp as part of the MCU. So, he's no stranger to these type of movies. And of course, he also provided the voice of the Silver Surfer back in 2007's Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. So, this guy knows his stuff, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what Lawrence Fishburne is going to be bringing to the Transformers franchise. Now, from my understanding, this Transformers animated movie is going to be called Transformers 1, and it's going to be a prequel set in the early years on Cybertron, where it will focus on the relationship between Optimus Prime and Megatron. So we'll get to see how they met each other and how they became the sworn enemies that we know them to be. And, we've kind of seen something like this before. If any of you who remember, back in the original G1 cartoon in season 2, the aerial bots were transported back to the past of Cybertron's golden age, where they met a young Orion Pax who was fated to become Optimus Prime. And we got to see how him and Megatron met each other, and Orion Pax was kind of like a fanboy. He was like an engineer on Cybertron, and he got blasted to pieces and rebuilt as Optimus Prime to battle Megatron and the Decepticons. So it's going to be very interesting to see that story expanded. We've seen it in the comic books, but to see this be fleshed out and brought to life in animation on the big screen is a huge deal for me. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that story played out in a very big way. So should be a lot of fun. The call has been answered. We will be getting a brand new Transformers animated movie for 2024. Let's go. Bring it on. So that's going to be it from me. I am going to wrap this up now. What's your thoughts on a brand new Transformers animated movie for 2024? Are you excited? How do you feel about Chris Hemsworth providing the voice of Optimus Prime? Do you think he'll do a good job? Do you think he can fill the shoes of Peter Cullen? Or do you think he could bring his own twist to the table? And also, what about Brian Tyree Henry? Do you think he'll do a good job as the voice of Megatron? Do you think he'll be able to follow in the footsteps of Frank Welker? And how do you feel about John Hamm, Lawrence Fishburne, and Scarlett Johansson and Keegan Michael Key added to the cast for the Transformers animated movie? Are you excited? Do you think they'll do a good job as well? And also, how do you think the story is going to play out? How do you think they'll adapt the origin story of how Optimus Prime and Megatron met each other? Do you think they could take some inspiration from the original G1 cartoon? Or do you think they'll take some inspiration from the comic books? Or do you think they might put their own twist on things? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time. So until then, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, as always, much appreciated. Thanks for listening. And 2024, here we come, till all are one.